Alright, let's do another Q&A session here. I'm gonna kind of do a hybrid here with some of the leftover old questions from the previous era, going back like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years or so, last time I did Q&As before recently resurrecting it, and then some of the questions that I got on the Q&A Volume 6 from several weeks back and just kind of do a mishmash. So first, I'm going to do the old questions, starting with how long does it take to do the cartoons that you and Hyundai Toon, or aka Hanu Makinen, do in general? How long does it take to do the cartoons? Well, I mean, all I really do is contribute to the creative process, coming up with the story and then of course recording the voices that usually I just do the voice for myself, and sometimes I'll do a voice for another character or two. It's mostly Hanu doing the voices, and of course he does all of the animating. I'd say, only a couple weeks, maybe less. Sometimes it's within a few days is probably about normal. What game system did you not like as a kid? I don't think there was any of them that I just straight up didn't like. But then again, I didn't play all of the systems either, so I don't know. But I didn't play anything where there were games I didn't like, but no, I wouldn't say there were any whole consoles that I didn't like. I know that in your Mega Man 8 review you mentioned about the voice acting in it. In your opinion, does voice acting make or break a game, and why or why not? It depends on the game. Like I don't think the voice acting breaks Mega Man 8 because I don't think that the game relies heavily on the voice acting to be that important of a factor. It's just a bad element of the game. Resident Evil, for example, has horrible voice acting, but that kind of adds a charm to it because it's, got that B movie kind of flavor to it. But a game like Metal Gear Solid, for example, which, was probably the first game that I had played that had really, really good voice acting. Uh, if that game, for example, would have been acted poorly, then it would have really broken the game. A game, for example, that I'm not a big fan of, and a lot of it has to do with the voice acting, is Siphon Filter. I was not a big fan of the lead voice actor. I didn't like his delivery. I don't even remember the name of the guy of the character anymore, but it was an okay game, but I lost interest quickly after I'd rented it. I played it, it was fine, but I didn't want to buy it after that. So I don't think it necessarily breaks the game, and I wouldn't even want to go so far as to say that that example of Siphon Filter, the game was broken for me, but it did contribute to me kind of turning away from it. What are your thoughts about games getting HD remakes? Now, if you're talking remakes, like building it from the ground up, just completely remaking the game from scratch, it's a little. I'm not big on that. I'd rather just play the original. But if you're talking about just a remastering job, to make it HD so that you can play an older game on an HD screen, then I'm cool with that. Was there anyone on YouTube or another site that inspired you to do the review walkthrough series that you do? So I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned before that Angry Video Game Nerd was a big influence, as he was to a lot of people who do, YouTube gaming shows from back in that era when he was originally on from 2006 2007. But I was not interested in making angry reviews. But one video that I had saw that kind of was the germ for the idea of doing the walkthrough was the Mickey Mouse Capade review by Undercover Filmer. I don't think that video is out there anymore. I think it was deleted or the channel has been taken down or something. He didn't do really a walkthrough, but he did go stage by stage, and watching that inspired me to do the stage by stage walkthrough format. Favorite non-alcoholic drink? I'm a soda fiend. I'm definitely a Coke head, Coca-Cola head, I guess you could say. Um, It's not the best. I try to drink more water than anything else, but I am a sucker for a Coke. Pitfall or Kaboom? Damn, that is a tough one. It depends on my mood, I guess, because they are two very differently paced games. Pitfall's more deliberate, and Kaboom is more chaotic and fast paced and boom, boom, boom. Well, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. I can't really pick one over the other. I guess Pitfall, if you have to put a gun to my head, I would probably say more often than not, but it's really, really close. These are two of probably the top five, in my opinion, the Atari 2600 anyway. When will you get a face cam? I mean, I have a webcam, but it's not that great. It comes out kind of grainy, and I have a video camera, but I feel like there's no real reason to have my face on the screen. I don't really like the idea of doing cutaways to me or putting me in the corner of the screen for at least definitely for the reviews or anything like that. I guess if anything, a video like this would be good for, having a face cam on, but I don't know. It's not really something that I ever felt like I needed to do, and it got to a point where I was like, all right, I don't know, I guess my shtick is not being on the screen. It's not something I'm completely written off or anything like that, and I'm not trying to be Wilson from Home Improvement where you never see my face, but I don't know, just don't feel like it, I guess. What is your favorite animated TV show, and what is the first one that comes to mind that you hated? Simpsons is up there, at least it was when it was good. That was an all-timer. South Park is probably the other one. Definitely that one has a lot of staying power. And the thing about South Park too is I was not a fan of it early on, and not because I didn't like what I had seen. I just decided not to watch it only because when it first came out, all I was hearing in school every day was, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny," because Kenny is my name. So it was just every fucking day I heard, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny," and it turned me off from even giving South Park a chance. When I finally did, I regretted not giving it a chance. I really love the show, but there's a lot of good animated shows. But I'll go with those two for different eras, I guess. Have you ever heard of this indie game called Freedom Planet? Nope, but I'll probably have to Google it now. Have you ever played Grandia? No, but I'll probably have to play it now. How was 2026 for you? It was alright. Do you like pinball and have any favorite pinball tables or pinball video games? I like pinball, but I don't have any particular pinball game that stood out to me over any of the other ones. I enjoy pinball, but they all kind of run together because they're really all just different variations of each other. What inspired you to do the Ranking the Soundtrack series? Several years ago, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, I came across a series that was on the Stereo Gum website where they would rank an artist's albums from worst to best. And that was it was among the first, article series that I had seen that had a ranking from worst to best. It wasn't, because it was different from a top 10 type of thing because it incorporated an entire catalog. Whether it was art, albums or, and then there were, ranking the films by Arnold Schwarzenegger, ranking this. Something about those rankings, I don't know, appealed to me. It's like I said, it started with, ranking albums, and then I started seeing a few others, and, there would be various categories. And then I said to myself, oh, that'd be a good series to do. I had the idea for the series actually around that time, like a good 6 years ago, but it never came to fruition. And then one day I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. What is the square root of negative 16? Without opening up the calculator and checking this, I want to say that it's negative 4 because square root of 16 is just plain 4. So I think that negative 4 would be double negative. I don't know. All right, a few questions here. Are there any games you regret doing a review of? Not just that you didn't like the game, but that your heart wasn't into it, or you didn't like the quality of the product and ended up being a lot of trouble. No, there was definitely no game that became that much of a problem. I've had, my share of technical issues before, but I didn't regret doing it. Recently, I did Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and when I was in the last stage, capturing the footage, the game kept crashing. It crashed in the same spot, like halfway through the final stage, and I could not get past it. I was stuck, and I'm like, fuck, I can't finish this review unless I figure out how the fuck to get to the end of the game here. Turned out it was the emulator I was using, so I had to load it up into another emulator and beat through the game again. I didn't have to. I mean, of course, I was using save states to get through that fucking game, but I thankfully was able to take some other shortcuts to get through. There was a level select option, but there was still some weird things about it. Like I couldn't see the good ending, or I only saw the good ending. I needed to get footage of the bad ending, and I would have needed to go through it from start to finish. So then I put in a Game Genie code to just steamroll through the game, and then I was able to get footage of the bad ending. So there was a lot of weird quirks about that one. It was a bit of a stressful situation, but I did not regret doing it. I was really glad that I was able to finish it. So that's about as close as it gets. That was the one that gave me the most trouble, and as far as a bad game goes, there was no game was too shitty that I regretted doing the review of. If anything, that makes it more satisfying to finish. Are there any games that you feel you'd want to go back and re-review because your opinion of them has changed? There aren't really any games that I would want to re-review because my opinion changed that much. I would maybe just change some rankings, but whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna go back and do a full-on reevaluation of everything. What's done is done. My opinion was different at the time as far as the final ranking goes, but my opinions of the games themselves haven't changed that much. It might just be the scale. How what I gave for a final grade might be different. Are there any games where you would just flat out refuse to do a review of? Not just a case of I may never get to it, I can only do so much, but I wouldn't even put this on my list if I had infinite time. Nothing that comes off the top of my head. If anything, it's just I'm not able to do a review of. I just don't have the access to the game or whatever. But I don't have any hard no games.